Welcome back to Have More Babies. Today, we're diving into something really important in children's vision health. Strabismus. You probably know it as crossed eyes. And this is one of those things where acting early isn't just a good idea. It's really critical to prevent lasting vision problems.
Absolutely. That's really the heart of it today. We might just see eyes that aren't pointing the same way, but the real issue, the danger, is what's happening behind the scenes in the brain. See, if one eye is consistently drifting, the brain does something quite drastic. It starts to ignore, suppress the picture coming from that eye. It's trying to avoid double vision.
And that suppression, that's the brain basically shutting down the connection. That's what causes the real long-term damage.
Exactly. That leads straight to amblyopia. You might have heard it called lazy eye. It's a serious loss of vision, functionally speaking, and it can become permanent if it's not addressed while the child's visual system is still developing. We're usually talking before age 7 or 8. So our goal today is really to unpack the key info from our pediatric sources, give you what you need to spot strabismus early, and hopefully prevent amblyopia.
Okay, let's get into it then. Strabismus is the physical misalignment, the eyes not working together, but amblyopia is the consequence we're trying to avoid. How do doctors actually define strabismus beyond just crossed eyes?
Clinically, strabismus means any situation where the eyes aren't aligned properly, they just don't work together as a team. And this misalignment can look different ways. An eye might turn in, that's esotropia.
Inward, okay.
Or outward exotropia. It could also turn upward, hypertropia, or downward, hypertropia.
And the sources mentioned this isn't always a constant thing, right? It can come and go.
That's a really key point. That's why it sometimes gets missed. It can be constant, always noticeable. But it can also be intermittent. Maybe it only appears when the child is tired or sick or really trying hard to focus on something up close. And it might affect just one eye or can switch back and forth between them. That subtlety means parents and caregivers really need to be watchful.
That makes a lot of sense. So if the eyes aren't coordinating, what's actually going wrong, mechanically or systemically? Why does this happen? What do the experts identify as the main triggers?
Yeah, the material breaks it down into about 4 main categories. First, and they say this is the most common one, is simply muscle imbalance. You've got 6 muscles around each eye controlling movement, right? If some are too tight or too weak or just not balanced correctly, they can't sync up.
Right, that sounds pretty straightforward, like the mechanics are just off. But you also mentioned a connection between something like needing glasses, like being farsighted, and the eyes actually crossing. How does bad vision cause that?
Oh, absolutely. That's the 4th cause listed. Uncorrected refractive errors. Think about a young child who's significantly farsighted, hyperopic. To see clearly, especially up close, they have to strain their focusing muscles constantly. They really overconverge their eyes. And that intense effort, particularly in toddlers, can physically pull the eyes inward. That specific type is called accommodative esotropia.
Wow, okay. So the act of focusing itself causes the crossing. That really explains the mechanism. What about the other causes you mentioned?
Well, second is genetic factors. Plain and simple. If strabismus runs in the family, the child's risk is higher.
Okay.
Third, there are underlying conditions. The source material specifically mentions things like cerebral palsy or Down syndrome. These suggest maybe a broader neurological control issue affecting the eyes, not just an isolated muscle problem.
Got it. So we know what it is, why it might happen. Now, if a parent doesn't notice the obvious misalignment, maybe because it's intermittent, like you said, what are the other signs, the subtle behavioral clues?
Yeah, these are crucial. You're looking for how the child tries to compensate for their vision not working right. A big one is depth perception issues. If the brain's getting 2 different pictures, judging distances becomes really hard.
How would that show up? Like in a preschooler?
You might notice they have trouble reaching for things accurately. Maybe they seem clumsy more often than typical, or they miss when pouring something.
Okay.
Or even difficulty with simple things like catching a ball. They just can't gauge how far away it is properly. Also because they might be seeing double vision, which has to be incredibly confusing and frustrating for them.
I'd imagine they'd try to fix that somehow, like block one eye or turn their head.
Exactly. They instinctively try to manage it. So that often leads to frequent squinting. You might see it more in bright light or when they're concentrating hard. And the other really telling sign is head tilting or turning. They're literally trying to find an angle where they can force the 2 images together, or at least get a clearer picture from one eye. Any consistent head tilt or turn when looking at something, that should definitely be a red flag.
Those behavioral clues sound so important for catching it early. So, if a parent sees these signs, what happens next? What's the diagnosis process like? And how do doctors actually fix strabismus?
The diagnosis is pretty systematic. It usually starts with a visual acuity test. That checks how clearly each eye can see on its own. Super important for catching amblyopia early.
Testing each eye separately.
Right. Then comes specific alignment and focusing tests. These look closely at how the eye muscles work together, how the eyes track, how they focus on things near and far.
And checking the eye itself.
That's the third step. A detailed examination of the eye anatomy. This is to make sure there isn't some other structural problem causing the issue, something that just looks like strabismus. Once it's confirmed, the treatment really depends on the specific cause.
What are the non-surgical options first?
Well, if it's that accommodative type caused by farsightedness, often eyeglasses or contact lenses are the first step. Sometimes, just correcting the vision relaxes the focusing effort enough and the eyes straighten right out.
Oh, wow.
That's simple. Sometimes, yes. Then, specifically for tackling the amblyopia, the lazy eye, you have the eye patch.
The patch always seemed a bit counterintuitive to me. If an eye is weak, why cover the good one?
Yeah, it sounds odd, but it's targeting the consequence, the amblyopia, not the strabismus directly. By covering the stronger eye for certain periods each day, you force the brain to start using and paying attention to the weaker, maybe previously ignored eye.
Okay.
You're essentially retraining that visual pathway in the brain, breaking the suppression habit. And critically, this needs to happen while the brain is still flexible during that developmental window.
Okay, that makes sense. And surgery, when does that come into play?
Surgical intervention is usually considered for more complex cases, or if things like glasses or patching just haven't achieved the alignment or binocular vision needed. The surgery itself involves carefully adjusting the eye muscles. Think of it like fine-tuning the tension, maybe loosening a muscle that's too tight or shortening one that's too weak to get them balanced and pointing together.
A delicate recalibration, it sounds like.
It really is. But here's a critical point the sources emphasize. Whether it's patching, glasses, or surgery, ongoing monitoring is essential. Regular checkups are absolutely crucial because a child's visual system keeps changing. You need that continued vigilance to ensure things stay stable and vision develops optimally.
That emphasis on ongoing care really brings it back to needing good, comprehensive pediatric support, doesn't it? This information is coming from pediatric practices that look at the whole child.
Exactly. Strabismus care fits right into the bigger picture of preventive pediatric care, making sure kids hit their developmental milestones, which includes regular vision screenings. Good pediatric practices handle the whole range, right? From well-child visits and your standard immunizations to managing sudden illnesses, acute pediatric care, and specialized things like vision concerns.
And having that care accessible is key. It's good to know for listeners, say, in the Roswell, Alpharetta, Milton areas, or just generally in Georgia, that quality practices often accept a range of insurance plans.
That's right. The sources do mention that, highlighting acceptance of plans like Blue Cross, Blue Shield GA, Humana, Peach State Health Plan, TRICARE. It shows a commitment to making sure these vital health and vision services are actually reachable for families in the community. So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. Vision is fundamental. It's how kids learn, explore, interact with everything. Noticing something as simple as a head tilt or frequent squinting and acting on it quickly. That could genuinely prevent lifelong vision loss from amblyopia. That knowledge is incredibly powerful.
That really is the bottom line. If you have any concerns at all about your child's vision, if you need a thorough checkup, or even just need access to other pediatric services, maybe like getting those required school health forms for Georgia, we really urge you to act on what you've learned today. You can find services, get more information, and book an appointment by visiting omegapediatrics.com. That's omegapediatrics.com. It's your best next step. And if you found this discussion helpful, please do us a quick favor. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and please share this important information with anyone else, friends, family, who might need to know about these signs in child vision health.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this important conversation.
Until next time, stay informed.